Welcome to I'm Healthy's Ready to Lose Weight Loss program. My name is Holly and I am subbing for Julie today. I do apologize if you can hear static. I've never had this problem before with my headset, but I do hear static. Hopefully it's not loud on your end. Since we have new people joining us each week, I just want to briefly outline the purpose of the webinars. Every other week we present an obstacle, such as today's topic, injury, that is a common barrier for people losing weight. And we identify strategies that can be used to overcome these barriers. We hope that while you may not be in the exact situation as our given scenarios, you'll be able to use the strategies in your situation. On the opposite weeks, we present different nutrition, physical activity, and behavior change topics. Next week, we will be talking about tracking and specifically providing information about activity trackers. So we hope that you're able to attend next week. We also encourage you to reach out to your coach on a regular basis to help support you in the changes that you're working on. For today's scenario, we are presented with a 45-year-old man named Todd who's injured his knee after 3 months of doing well in a weight loss program. He had been walking every day for exercise and eating healthily for those 3 months, and as a result had lost 15 pounds. When he first injured his knee, he felt very disappointed to have to stop walking for exercise. Then, when he learned that he would need to have surgery to repair his torn knee ligament, something in him just gave up on the idea of choosing a healthy lifestyle. He secretly felt some sense of relief that he would just have to resume his couch potato ways. He believed he was helpless to prevent weight gain during his recuperation and decided to let go of the idea of eating healthily, thinking to himself, "Oh well, I'm going to gain weight during this time anyway, might as well eat what I like." So before the surgery, he shopped for familiar foods that are easy to prepare, such as frozen pizza, lasagna, and pot pies, in addition to some snack items like chips, cheese, and salsa. The day after his surgery, he had a friend bring him a few fast food burgers and a couple orders of fries. At his 2-week post-surgery appointment, he notices that he has gained 10 pounds. His physician refers him to physical therapy for his knee, but due to the pain he's having, he only goes to half of the physical therapy appointments. 1 month later, he is still in pain, not able to walk very well, and he continues to overeat unhealthy foods. So let's move on to the first step in making changes in your behaviors, and that's becoming aware of the usual habits that are standing in the way of your success. So for Todd, one of the habits or thought processes that he's dealing with is the feeling of hopelessness and feeling that he is not going to be able to maintain a healthy lifestyle while he's injured or after his surgery. He also ends up, as a result of this thinking, overeating post-surgery and moving as little as possible. So let's start looking at the first habit that Todd is experiencing, the feeling of hopelessness. So one strategy that Todd could use is strategy number 4, analyzing his motivation level. Remember, the 14 strategies that we use in the program are in your program materials, and you can access your program materials at any time during the 6 months of your program by clicking on the link that you receive when you registered for the webinars. So with this strategy, Todd may want to ask himself, do I really want to change? Do I want to throw away everything that I've done for the past 3 months? And what are the costs versus the benefits that I will receive if I continue to do the best I can even during this temporary setback? Todd may also want to use strategy number 6, reframing thoughts, beliefs, or perceptions. And with this, instead of feeling hopeless and helpless, Todd could view his injury as a temporary setback, but realize that he can still watch what he's eating and continue to work on developing healthy eating habits and resume activity when he's able to, with the guidance of his therapist and his doctor. And maybe even think about using this time to research new recipes or new snack ideas, as after 3 months he's probably getting tired of eating the same things. For these particular strategies, it can be helpful to use one of the handouts in your program materials, which is called My Best Self-Talk Statements. In this handout, it walks through several examples of negative thinking that can set you off in the wrong direction. And it provides examples of more positive self-talk that can put you on the right track. So for each one of you, these negative thoughts will be different, but I do challenge you to maybe look over the examples on this handout and see if any of them are similar to the way you're feeling or thinking, or coming up with your own negative thinking that you want to change. And then actually writing down the positive statements that you're going to tell yourself in replace of the negative statements. So in Todd's case, viewing his injury as something temporary and realizing that he could still maintain his weight by watching his eating, and that the 3 months he's worked hard so far is not all for naught, but that he still can continue to achieve success in the future. And again, use this time that he has to create a plan for the next 3 months in keeping things interesting and creative on the food end, while also committing to the physical therapy as much as he can. So you may also want to put some of these positive statements on a note card to carry around with you. If you're having trouble coming up with positive statements, maybe ask a close friend who may be more gentle with you or may have some different ideas of how to be a better coach to yourself, which is really what we're talking about here. Is what would you say to a friend if you were trying to encourage them with the obstacles they're dealing with? So before we move on to the next habit, which is overeating, I just want to give you an opportunity to respond to that particular habit of feeling hopeless and helpless, and just ask if any of you have been in this situation and if you have been successful in reframing those thoughts and looking at them in a new light, or maybe you are still struggling with your particular situation and whatever is holding you back right now. You can enter a chat comment in the chat box by clicking on the orange arrow on your little dashboard up in the upper right hand corner, and that will open up the area to chat, keeping in mind I'm the only one who sees who's written each comment, and when I share them, I will share them anonymously. I have our first comment. Yes, I have been injured and it torpedoed my progress. I wish I had this information at the time. So it sounds like this is something that someone is relating to, and we do see it often when someone gets injured, that it really can set them back. And so hopefully if if you have this issue in the future, or again, it doesn't necessarily have to be an injury. Sometimes it's a crisis that is in the moment. It's not going to last forever, but it's taking up your time and energy and can make you start to feel guilty about what you're not doing. So what we're saying is do what you can, and hopefully in short time you'll be able to move on and get back to putting more time and energy into that, because life is going to happen. Whether it's during this program or a year from now, things are going to come up that will try to derail you from your healthy habits. So having these tools in place ahead of time can definitely be helpful. Another comment, yes, I started working out and just developed runner's knee. Luckily, the doctor said I can still exercise while I get physical therapy. That's great. Which we'll talk about in a minute is the fact that while you may be limited due to an injury in a particular part of your body, trying to figure out what you are able to do during that time can be helpful. So glad to hear that you're moving forward. Another comment, this is very timely. I woke up this morning very discouraged by how sore my knees are after exercising regularly for the last month. I trust my trainer, but it's hard work. In this case, I would suggest that you reach out to your coach who can make sure you're connected to our exercise specialist who may have some advice for this particular situation. Again, not that you wouldn't also talk to your trainer about how you're feeling and let them know that you're going through this and just trying to find out, is this normal? Because you don't want to risk injury. And so I would definitely recommend you talk to your trainer. And again, if you're unsure about their response, maybe reach out to your coach who can connect you with one of the exercise specialists on our team. So we definitely don't want you to get injured and be in the situation like Todd. Great. I'm going to move on, but if you do have something you wanted to add, one more. Swimming and water aerobics have been my best exercise since injury a few years ago. That is awesome that you were able to find a new activity so that you won't further a past injury. And sometimes that's what you have to do. Unfortunately, people who've enjoyed certain exercises may not be able to continue doing them if it's going to put them at risk of an injury. So I'm glad that you were able to find something that is good for your body, because you do want to be able to move for as long as possible in your life. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next thing, but if you have something you want to add, go ahead and add it, and I will put in your comment when I get another little break. So the other habit that Todd ran into is that he ended up going back to overeating during this time. So here we're suggesting that he use strategy number 3 and learn more about a specific topic you're struggling with. And in this case, Todd may want to go to tracking. So I'm going to briefly go over the USDA Super Tracker as an example of a tracker that you could use during any time, really. In Todd's case, we want to make sure that he knows how many calories he needs given his injury. You can also reach out to your coach if this is something you're not sure of and you want to check on what would be the recommendation for a calorie level, whether you're active or not right now. Of course, there's a lot of apps, and we'll be talking more about some of those next week. But the one thing with the Super Tracker that I really like is the graph here on the right that shows you how are you doing on your food groups. So there's lots of different trackers out there, and any way you track it can be helpful. But here it's making sure you're not just getting calories in, but that you're getting a balance of foods, and that's why I do like the tracker on this. I will say sometimes it does overestimate calorie needs, so if you're questioning the calorie recommendation, again, reach out to your coach. So it will help you keep track here of what your target is for the day, how much you've eaten, and then your status. And then if we go over to entering the food, I'll just go through a quick example of what it would look like. So if we want to enter that we've had some chicken breast, you'll see it gives you many different options for this, but I would like to choose the boneless, skinless, baked option. And then on the left side, it will give you options. Do you want to choose it by the breast, by the cup, by the ounce? So I'm going to choose cup because I think that's easiest for most people to recognize if you don't have a scale particularly. So maybe you had a half a cup, sorry the screen keeps jumping, for lunch, and you'll see it does list the calories down here. You can also, what they say, they customize. If you don't see a product in here that you have or it's not close enough, you can enter in a food yourself using the nutrition information on a label. So that's what the customize offers. And you'll see it breaks it down into your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. So if I add that, it should show up on the right under the protein. Just giving me some protein. A couple other features that I think are helpful with this particular website. You can copy meals in the middle there. So if you eat the same breakfast several times a week, you can copy that over. You can also add in your own homemade recipe. So that's a great feature. And they have what's called a favorite foods list, where if there's items that you often have, you can create a favorite foods list so it's easy to find those items. So a lot of great features. I don't have time to go over all of them, but I did just want to highlight some of those and also let you know you can track your physical activity. You can also, they have a journal feature, track your weight with a graph for that, and a lot of different reports. So if you want to run a report over several days and see how you're doing on food groups, nutrients, again, physical activity, there's a lot of options for this website. And it is free. All right, so let's get back to our slides here. So again, in this case, finding more about his calorie needs and then taking time to plan ahead. So instead of planning for the unhealthy food after surgery, it would be much more helpful if he planned for easy, quick meals that were healthier. And maybe even got a friend that could help him with his grocery shopping after his surgery if he needed that. The last habit that we want to look at for Todd is that he's kind of given up on moving at all because of the pain he's having. So in this case, it may help for him to still think about prioritizing his habits. So as the one participant said, are there other exercises besides weight-bearing things that he could do while he's recovering, or are there upper body exercises he could do? So still prioritizing these habits that are going to support his health and energy, and at this time also his recovery. Using strategy number 3, learning more about a specific topic. He may want to talk about his physical his pain with his physical therapist, and maybe they could adjust his exercise plan and at home as well as when he goes in. So again, putting him on a better path for improving his movement as quickly as he can. So let's put all this together and see what a better picture would be for Todd. So once Todd starts becoming more aware of his feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, he begins to reframe his thoughts to realize this was a temporary setback and that it doesn't take away all the work he's done so far, that he can at least maintain his weight even if he's not able to lose right now, and that this is temporary and he does want to continue to be successful because these goals that he has set is important to him. Also spending time learning how many calories he needs while he's recovering and developing a healthy meal plan and grocery list before the surgery, and asking for help if he needs help with the grocery shopping. And then lastly, just getting more information from his physician or physical therapist regarding the pain he's having and trying to manage the pain while continuing with his recovery and exercises. So again, whether you're dealing with an injury or another temporary setback, realizing that every healthy choice counts. That just doing your best even during a challenging time is helpful, and you don't need to throw everything out the window because of the initial or the acute crisis that you may be going through right now, and just trying to focus on what you're able to do versus what you're not able to do. These are the strategies we talked about today. And then my last slide before we open it up to more comments is an example of the action plan that's in your program materials that we recommend you use on a regular basis to work through these steps. So you'll see at the top are 4 steps to changing behavior that we have identified in our program. So awareness of the behaviors, analysis of the options and strategies you can use, and then choosing what you're going to do and acting on it. So with an example of the negative thinking and hopelessness, using the strategy of reframing thoughts, belief, and perceptions, and to get help with that, Todd could talk with a friend about his feelings and trying to work on a more positive approach and come up with some more positive thoughts that this is a temporary injury. And then it's also good after you've tried the strategies to identify what you learned about what worked or didn't work, because sometimes we try things and it doesn't go so well, but that doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that the plan you had did not work for you at that time. So going back and reworking it would be helpful. So in this case, Todd learned that he can be his own worst enemy with his negative thinking, which actually led him or could lead him to unhelpful behavior, and that it's more helpful if he becomes his own best friend or best coach, I like to say, by choosing to change his thoughts to more positive ones. So at this time we have a few minutes left, and I want to open it up for any comments on this particular topic, or if you have something else that you wanted to share about what you're working on, any progress you've made, or maybe some barriers or issues that you're dealing with that you would like to get some comments on. We have a few minutes to do that here. And just reminding you that next week our topic is going to be tracking your behavior, and specifically we'll have information on activity trackers in addition to some information on food tracking. And Julie should be back next week, although I've enjoyed attending your session today. And reminding you that in your program materials are all the different handouts that we go through from week to week. So you have access to those during your 6 months by clicking on that webinar link. We will be starting a new month in March, so you should be getting information about signing up again for the webinars. We do have to do that monthly, which allows for participants to come to any of the 5 webinars that are offered for a given week. So that is why you are required to register for the webinars every week. But you're still in the program for your 6 months. Okay, I have a comment. I went through an injury after having been very successful losing 40 pounds with diet and walking and running. I did feel very helpless and angry because I got injured trying to help myself. And that's a very common feeling, that you feel like you're making progress and you're doing all the right things, and then something can go wrong. And that's unfortunate. It seems like that you have been able to move on to other activities with the swimming and the water aerobics. So hopefully that is helping you to continue to be successful. But it's okay to have those feelings. It's very normal. Maybe working through that by talking with a close friend if you're having those kind of feelings, to help you move through that when you, again, have those situations. But congratulations on the success that you've had so far. She says, I'm trying. It has taken some time, and these strategies should help. I'm glad to hear that these ideas are resonating with you. And again, hopefully by reaching out to a support system that can help you through this, you won't feel like you're going it alone. We still have a few more minutes. Okay, I have another comment. What do you do when it is an ongoing issue like arthritis? For something like that, I would highly recommend that you look into some type of exercise training help with specialists who are familiar with working with arthritis. Healthy has a program called FitScript, and the exercise specialists who offer training in that program are trained in working with different medical issues. So if you go on the Healthy website under the physical activity, you should be able to get more information about the FitScript program. You may also want to contact your coach and see if they have any other suggestions. Just again, off the top of my head, I know that's one program that Healthy offers. And that can be a struggle and definitely something you want to get help with. Well, it is 12:30 and I don't see any additional comments, so I thank you for attending, and I'm sure Julie will look forward to chatting with you next week. Have a great day.